I'm Dick Cavett. Silverado, The Big Chill, they leap to mind. Oh, certainly The Fly creeps to mind. And these are all unique films, all of them having something in common, and that's the unique actor Jeff Goldblum. His latest film is called Fathers and Sons. And again, it's different from typical Hollywood, which seems to be a distinguishing mark with him. He's not your typical leading man, nor mine, nor why would he want to be. I plan to ask Jeff Goldblum, and here he is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Dick, very, very good to see you.
I was thanking you for being here, and then I guess you're thanking me for
thanking me.
For thanking me.
Yes.
Yeah. This is... we've certainly started on a high level here, and I don't know.
Absolutely. We can only go down.
Maintain this. You know, I just suffered a humiliation in the lobby of the Riga Royal, which is where we're royally treated here today, about my size.
I'm sorry.
I told you before.
Yeah,
You didn't do it. A man said to me, "I thought you were taller. This is terrible. Look at you." But he didn't say it quite that nicely.
Horrible.
Now, I read about your body every time they write about you.
What's this?
Well, they always say you're gangly, and you came in quite gracefully.
Oh, yeah. Does gangly mean awkward in some way?
I don't know, but it's a word that usually is affectionate. I mean, in theater, it's a cliche that all who gangle are kind and true. So
I never heard that. It must not be a cliche enough. I never heard that. What is it? All that are gangly are?
Well, that's just one way of putting it. It just seems that if anybody gangles, you know, he's going to be a nice guy in the play or something like that. I never heard of a serial killer gangling. The words get
Tony Perkins was a little gangly and
yes,
wasn't he?
Yes, and therefore my example falls.
Well, I no.
As they say in high school debate. Mostly, do people who recognize you on the street mention one particular work, or
they don't? No. I've done a bunch of stuff, and some will say, "Oh, Into the Night, it's my favorite thing somebody did today," or Buckaroo Banzai, you know what I like, 10 Speed and Brown Shoe, or but Fly, Fly. There's a lot of Fly stuff.
I would have thought The Fly, maybe.
I think mostly yes.
Yeah, Big Chill, probably maybe second, or
you're right.
Alternating in first.
You're right.
Yeah. There's a story. I had no idea about this, that Kevin Costner went through what must have been one of those humiliating things that could happen to an actor, making The Fly. Making The Big Chill.
He was also cut out of The Fly, too. He
was cut out of two things?
No, I'm only kidding.
Oh.
After that humiliating fall, I didn't want you to suffer another.
No, I'm just trying to thank you for helping me there.
But I couldn't, but the people would, archivists would actually be able to bear that out.
Yeah.
He was never in The Fly.
Okay, we'll add a footnote here. But what was it? First of all, to say, "Ma, I got a part in a movie." Guess what? Oh, wonderful. What are you? Well, I'm the dead body. Was that what he was going to be in?
No, not exactly.
Okay, straighten it out for me.
Oh, okay. Here's the it actually goes. He was the dead body in The Big Chill, who you see in the beginning. That was meant to be him, but the part was larger than that too.
Yeah.
Because there was a flashback originally intended and shot and cut into the first rough cut of the movie that had us all at the end of the movie in 60s stuff and back in 1968. And preparing a Thanksgiving dinner at Michigan.
So we'd have seen him alive in that.
So you see him alive. That's right.
Oh,
right.
See, I thought he not only played a corpse only, but got cut out because he wasn't good enough as the corpse.
No.
Somewhere, if you can believe anything you read these days, there's a skinhead who doesn't know that he inspired a movie. Do I have that right?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Paul Monis, the director of this movie, Fathers and Sons, opening November 6th, said he was inspired, that's right, by, and he was in Washington Square Park and saw this young 16-year-old, he assumed, I think he assumed non-fascist, I don't know why anyway, a guy who had no hair, a skinhead kid, but who was amazingly liquid in the eyes, soulful looking, sensitive, sweet, troubled, new, fresh, newborn, all that. And he went home and wrote, Max Fish sits on the porch of his house, and he's got large liquid eyes. And
that's fascinating, because I know why he said about fascists, because he said something like, although a skinhead, he did not seem to be a fascist. He seemed to be
he said, yes,
in some way, and the contrast between the skinhead and what you usually think they are.
Well, so I think you can tell political orientation, can't you, from somebody's look? Possibly.
You think you can.
Sometimes you're chillingly surprised, which is in fact the origin of the big chill. What that really means, although it has other poetic resonances, I think Larry Kasdan, who wrote it, said came out of a real experience he had at a party where he was talking to this guy seemingly full of lip and liberal of features, who came out with a remark that chilled him to his core.
Aha.
So yes, I think you're right. But on the other hand, and there are often two hands with these things, I think, in my experience, you can now, all these Republicans, seem to have a similar look.
There is a look, though, as a set of the eye and the mouth to certain parts of the political spectrum. I swear that's true, too. I've never heard anybody else say that, but I think
so.
Because it sounds, in this day of political correctness,
but you
like
can't tell a book by
offending
cover.
people.
Yeah, but no, I think political sensibility kind of goes with your something.
And I found if it says War and Peace on the cover, that's very often what the book is about. So,
absolutely.
He's always been a favorite actor of mine, and I flashed, as they say, on something. A gang violates a woman in the very opening scenes of a film, don't they? And you're one of them.
Yes.
Why can't I think of the name of it?
Death Wish.
In Death Wish, Charles Bronson's wife or daughter?
Both.
That's right.
His wife and his Hope Lang.
That was a shocking scene in the true sense of the word.
It was at the time, wasn't it? Brutal. It was the first movie I ever did.
I wonder if it was hard on the actors, what the atmosphere on the set is when you're doing something like that.
I had nothing to compare it to. It was the first movie I ever did. It was in 1973. I was thrilled to be doing it, and knew that it required plenty of rage and delinquent stuff, and just enjoyed it. And I tried to make the crew feel like, hey, where'd they get this? Is this one a real guy? Is this a... Because I was not a street fellow. I was born. My dad was a doctor in Pittsburgh and stuff. So, but I kind of relished this chance to. Is he the real guy? So I didn't bathe and things,
And that
I think they thought I was the real guy.
These guys seemed real, and you particularly gave me the creeps.
Thank you.
I don't know if I'd ever see you again in a dark alley.
Yeah.
Now, the you in Fathers and Sons is unrecognizable as that person.
Well, 1973, 1992, 19 years later.
And certainly taken from a different part of your psyche, I guess.
Yeah, true enough. It's a sweet movie, isn't it? It's and this part, although there are things about this father that are delinquent and misguided and invasive, and I find myself as I watch it sympathizing with the son. I'm too tough on him, and I'm not sensitive in some ways. I think because I'm tormented with this guilt of his mistreatment of the family and my former alcoholism and rage episodes, and so I'm bad with him. But finally, you're right. It's a search for the expression of love and connection between he and I, and a very nurturing sort of relationship.
And every time you hear that a crew applauded or a crew cried or a crew was moved in some way, it's always impressive, because you're always amazed at when you watch a movie being shot how they're doing their jobs and often aren't paying any attention. I don't know if it was something I read about this film.
Exactly.
Was it right to the end?
Yes, there's a scene at the end.
I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but...
No, that we claim, there's a claim, and I don't know, I was involved at the time, but they say people on the set were touched.
Yeah, when they have to turn away to not pick up on the microphone, it's nice.
Well, it's a touching situation, father and son, after having been blocked in their relationship, and finally go through a crisis together and have a very openly emotional and reconciliation, you know.
Hi, I'm Dick Cavett, and as an actor, Christopher Reeve has, as you know, flown through the air in one film and kissed Michael Caine in another. Two dreams of every boy, I suppose, at some point in his life. He has stood up for the National Endowment for the Arts in front of Congress, not as an actor, but as himself, and fought to make this planet a better place at pro-environment rallies across the country. He's in a new film called Noise Is Off, and I have a story about that title, and he is here tonight with me as well. Otherwise, all of this that I've just said would have been rather pointless if I suddenly turned and welcomed Mayor Koch. Chris, welcome.
He's available.
Wait, he's not mayor anymore, is he?
He thinks he is.
I'm having one of my spells.
He's self-appointed mayor, and he always will be.
Yeah, you hear more from him now that he's not mayor.
Now he's a movie critic. That makes me
Every
quick in my boots.
Yeah, actually, I've missed, by my count, all of his movie reviews. How are they?
I don't know. I mean, he loves movies, which is the main thing. But he does, you know, he's an acerbic guy. He really wants to kind of, you know, he doesn't have to make nice with anybody. But I think that's what was good about him as mayor, too.
Can you remember every needle you ever got from a critic?
I have an encyclopedic memory of all the bad reviews. I'll just quote one at random.
Okay, just pick one from your...
I did a movie which has become, actually it's become a classic. People love this film. I mean, it's become an American institution. That's a film called Somewhere in Time, which was a romance I did back in 1979.
Certainly my favorite.
It bombed so badly that it left a crater on 47th Street. But
it got a review around
there. Right, you know, police barrier, do not cross. But then Vincent Canby said in his review in the New York Times, and I quote, "One more movie like this, and it's back to the Cape forever. This movie does for screen romance what the Hindenburg did for dirigibles."
Oh,
and there was a little byline, said, "Christopher Reeve looks like a helium-filled canary. Thank you, and drive safe." You know, it's like, you know what I do with reviews? I used to go out to the store, and I'd go and buy one review and take it home and read it.
Yeah.
And if it was good, I'd go out and buy another one. So like, until I got to the bad reviews. Sometimes it was just one trip.
Oh, I see. You mean you couldn't get them all at once?
I couldn't get them all at once. You couldn't have that much either good news or bad news at once. I had to parcel it out.
You know, that rings a bell with me. I have a feeling I once, I think when a book came out, and I thought, I don't want to get two blows at once. Maybe, yeah, that's, I want to, gee, we're very much alike. And I empathized with you on the other thing, too, because it annoys me, A, that you get my movie parts, and B, that when you get a review like that, you do tend to remember it word for word, exact quote, nothing wrong. Then there's the old saying that if you start believing the good ones, you're in even better trouble than if you believe, worse trouble, you believe the bad ones. The bad ones are infinitely more convincing somehow.
Also, I think that a critic has a better time writing a bad review because then you know, it's just easier to be clever and witty and funny at somebody's expense. I mean, humor, this segues actually to Noise Is Off, as a matter of fact, but humor is so often cruel. I mean, we partly want to humiliate people.
Can be, because it is an effective weapon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you ever noticed that when the guy slips on the banana peel, he's never walking down the street unsure of himself. It's always when he's walking down the street as though he's on top of the world. Yeah. And then he wipes out. And we seem to enjoy those misfortunes. And
do you ever find that when you drop, let's say, a heavy plate on that protruding bone just above the big toe, and you're alone, and the pain is excruciating, at that moment you think, now this would be a hilarious moment in a movie, and I'd be laughing.
Right.
And this isn't funny. I'm sorry. This just isn't funny at the time. Great when it happens to others, especially to a critic.
Right.
But fortunately, the movie business provides those critics who enjoy dumping on things plenty to dump on in our lifetime.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Would you agree that us elder folks remember a time when there were at least a lot more good movies per capita than there are now? It just seems you get stung every 2 out of 3 times.
I think what happens is there's a real, the old days of the studio system, it was run by people who actually liked movies.
That's right.
They were self-made men. They came up with very little education, but they loved movies and they loved artists, and they wanted to bring with them the great artists. There was this great exodus from Germany in the 30s of, you know, and then there was Faulkner writing there, and there was Fitzgerald writing, and the word meant something. Literature meant something. In fact, Broadway, was really kind of the Class A Broadway world and film was a poor relation. Actors went off to do a movie, well, which we didn't really talk about. Then I go back on Broadway and do my Macbeth or whatever. And I think what we have now is we've got the studios are run by guys with business degrees who are really only doing, we're pre-selling territories. Right. And that's how you get a movie. I've talked about this before, but you get a really interesting, original piece of modern literature like Bonfire of the Vanities, which they cast by pre-selling to an imagined audience. Well, Bruce Willis brings in this audience, Tom Hanks brings in this audience, Morgan Freeman brings in this audience, and they don't care anymore whether they're serving the author's intentions. And I think that really does a disservice to the audience who really doesn't care so much about stars. They want to see a story well told for their $7.
Has Tom Wolfe been heard from? I just haven't, if he was, I missed it. But the catastrophe of what they did.
I think he's hiding under a rock somewhere until the whole thing, it's not his fault.
Certainly not, no. Writers are still shat upon in Hollywood, I hear, even though for decades people, Raymond Chandler have written, these guys with, the dollar signs in their eyes and the morals of a goat like to produce.
Well, I actually heard about an agent actually sitting in a meeting with a studio, and a writer had come, a huge bestseller. They're going to talk about, they just bought the book. And the head of this studio said, with a writer sitting right there in the room, said, love the title, love part of the concept, and we'll take it from there. So the idea is they don't care, and here's this wonderful book. And I just think that the American public really is getting tired of that, and that Hollywood would do well to serve the literature, to serve the language, and let the people with the ideas who are writing. There's a lot of good books around there, and better movies could be made out of them.
And there actually was a time when there were scripts that were fun to read as scripts. I mean, you could almost listen to All About Eve, not to detract from it in any way.
But see, now they don't care.
You could listen to it almost on the radio and like as much because there's such a good written story there.
And the problem, I think, in that regard is MTV, because the audience now is used to watching things that are interesting enough of themselves but have no connecting tissue. So movies now, particularly the ones really aimed at a commercial audience, are just, we take events and string them together, but we forget about logic and character development and through line and spine and all those things that are traditionally the backbone of good scripts.
You still wince when someone adds the S to the end of your name by mistake. Never mind, you don't have to answer
I think they could
that.
be a little more careful,
I will not mention the word Superman throughout this whole show because I see that it's in your contract.
Right.
I would be kind of interested to know what stages you have what have been the stages of your ability to become known as something else? How many films does one have to do in plays before people go, hey,
It's interesting. What you really need to do is just make smart decisions after the movie to put you on the map. And it's almost axiomatic that right after your first big hit, you will make one or two mistakes. Dustin Hoffman, for example, in my opinion, right after The Graduate made John and Mary, which was like invisible. It's hard to make those choices because, see, Superman didn't limit my opportunities. It created so many that I was too young and too immature to understand them. And in ways, I was miscast or made mistakes, whatever, which now, after being a film actor for 15 years and a theater actor for 25 years, now I feel, okay, I'm really ready. And so the process for me actually was, people watched me learn how to act for the camera in front, in 1,500 theaters and huge. I mean, I didn't do it by playing supporting parts in NYU student films or something. I did it big time right in front of you. And that, to me, was a kind of interesting way to go. And I think all you need to do really is it's one part that makes money. That's all there is to it.
Are there guys going around claiming they turned it down because they knew that would happen to them and they didn't want to mess with it?
In fact, what happened was that before Superman 1, these films tended to be black and white B pictures cast with kind of insignificant actors. I don't mean to be rude, but basically they're not major actors. And Superman 1 was the first film to make big screen, Dolby stereo, convincing special effects, and to try to make this sort of real. And now every actor, now you've got legitimate actors who have no intention of being typecast. Dustin Hoffman as Hook. I mean, Robin Williams has played Popeye and Peter Pan in the same career. Plus he's up for an Academy Awards for Awakening. So Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman. We started because we had Gene Hackman and Marlon Brando and Trevor Howard and Susanna York and Jeffrey Unsworth as a cameraman. So I feel in a way I was part of a pioneering effort. And sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it's okay.
It's your show. What am I doing?
That's true. Never talk when I even look like I'm going to. Did what Jack Nicholson calls the man on the hill give you any tips? I want to collect a book of tips like Walter Brennan I got to be on a series episode once, Western, and he said, I noticed something. Always look at the other person, kid, with your down camera eye, because it gets more of your face on the screen. I would love to find a book of 100 wisdoms like that from screen actors.
I can throw in one real quick. You know, for
All right.
everybody, all the screen actors out there, or would be. That camera, that as it comes close to you, there is a tendency, as they push the camera closer, it's an intrusion in your reality,
Yeah.
and people's attention level tends to increase, particularly when they're coming in for close-ups.
Right.
And
The viewer's attention level increases.
no, the actor's his tension level.
Oh, tension level.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so what happens is, a camera has to be absolutely ignored in order to be won over completely.
Doesn't that take Zen concentration, though?
No, it takes relaxation. In fact, the less hard you try, the better you do. And so the one tip is try to act in your close-up with the same ease that you did the off-camera for the other guy. For those of you who don't know, off-camera.
Boy, you're so right about that, and I didn't realize it.
The off-camera is when they're on, say they're on Dick's close-up, and I'm going to say the lines of the scene, and they'll film him. Notice now the camera's not on me, so I'm totally relaxed. Well, when they turn it around and come in here, don't let that layer of artifice increase.
That's right. This is an insight.
Yeah. A lot of actors have problems with that.
Among my pictures is one I made with my dear friend Michael Keaton, whom I didn't meet. I was in Beetlejuice for, what was I in, 3.5 minutes? You probably timed it, I didn't. And I remember they said, now we're doing the close-up, and I thought, oh, now I've got to really say this right.
Yeah. See, now
And immediately I clenched.
Yeah, you put a pressure on yourself, and you've got to be absolutely just at ease so the camera can eavesdrop and pick up reality. And if you try to sell your reality in any way, then it comes across as acting, and then you're in trouble.
You know, that's so interesting that I forgot what I... Oh, I wondered, did Brando ever lean in and say, never turn right with your shoulder lowered, or anything like that?
Brando actually didn't have 2 words to say to me.
Did he say, don't let him push you around, kid? That's what was quoted in something. It's your picture, don't let him
He
push
did.
you.
We had an episode, actually, Brando was supposed to be in Superman 2. And we shot some sequences of Superman 2 before we did 1. Then for various legal reasons, he was not in Superman 2. But day 1 of working with Brando was a scene in which we were working together. And Superman had lost his powers, and he's supposed to reach out and touch me on the shoulder and give the powers back. The script says that Superman reacts as though sort of like electricity is going through his body. Now, I mean, that hasn't happened to me lately, so I'm giving an impression of what this would be like. And I'm doing it, and they're on me. My close-up, Brando's off camera, and I start to do it, and I'm supposed to have this electrical thing happen, then collapse on the floor, and I get up to see him smirking. There's this little smile on his face that he's like, and I don't know where this courage came from, but I turned to him and said, listen, I don't know how to do this, but I sure am trying, and I'd appreciate it if we could work together on this, or words to that effect, said with a certain amount of intensity.
Was that when he broke your jaw?
No, that's when he sent me the flowers and the candy from Fortnum and Mason and said, I really respect what you're trying to do here.
I remember Miss Hepburn praising you for going up with all those people and not losing your cool. It'll be a long time before any of us will get the image of the cannibalistic Hannibal Lecter out of our minds from Silence of the Lambs. But his current film adds to the list of the brilliant things he's done on the screen with a very different kind of personality. And it's the great E.M. Forster novel, Howard's End. Welcome.
Good to be here.
To get this out of the way right away, what are you sickest of in terms of people coming up and joking to you about, the way they come up to magicians and say, can you make my mother-in-law disappear? Do people come up and say, hey, Hannibal, would you...
I bite them on the nose.
Yeah.
And on the ear.
Just
and the heels.
definitely,
And they scalp it, they go across the street.
Is there a tiny...
Sometimes they cross the street before I get to them.
Okay. People do realize it's you, though, do they? Even though you, sitting here now, do not look precisely like the demon you created on the screen.
No. It is funny, though, because I've done a few interviews the last few days, and people do think that I'm going to bite them. I don't think they're pretending, but they are a bit nervous, and they start laughing nervously.
I don't know if you could sense it, but I was at a thing last night where you walked out upon a stage briefly at some ceremonies before the screening of the movie. And when you entered, there was a sort of ooh around me as well as the applause. Yeah. So for a time, you will know what Boris Karloff must have felt like.
Yes.
only cliche I can think about you is the fact that you're an immense star who had an unhappy childhood, or do you want to correct me on that?
Well, I could correct you a little. I think it's a sort of misquote. I didn't have an unhappy childhood as such. I mean, my parents were loving parents. I was the only child. I was a bit lonely, that's all. I had a lonely school career.
Okay.
That's what it was. And I was, and it dogged me for years and years and years. And I don't regret 1 minute of it, because it was the rocket fuel that made me become an actor, to compensate for all that loneliness and lack of confidence and all that.
Yeah, I see how I misstated it now, because just about everything I've read about you has talked about the fact that at school you felt you couldn't learn anything. You either would or couldn't learn mathematics. You felt you didn't belong anywhere. You thought you were...
That's true. That is all
I think they
true.
convinced you were stupid.
Yes, they did.
And, but what saved you? You were a musician?
I wanted to be a musician. I wanted to be a pianist. I still play, you know. I'm not that good, but I mean, I don't play in front of people because I get embarrassed by it, so I just play my own place. I play a lot of classics. And I wanted to be a concert pianist. Actually, I just wanted to be very famous because I wanted to meet Claire Bloom. That's all, because I fell in love with...
Specifically Claire Bloom?
Claire Bloom, because I saw her in the film Limelight with Charlie Chaplin. I thought, I've got to become famous. I've got to become successful, because then I'll meet her. So I thought I'd become a musician. I don't know why. I thought, well, if you get well known, you meet all these movie stars and actresses. Anyway, I became an actor 20 years later. I did actually work with her, and we played Man and Wife in The Doll's House on film.
Now, we're always told that when our dreams come true, they're a little disappointing. How did she disappoint you?
Oh, she didn't. Well, she was okay. She was very nervous at the time. And, yeah, she was fine.
Did you ever tell her that you were specifically, she was one of your dreams as a small boy?
No.
When I asked you about the music, I was thinking about that. As a kid, you could at least survive on the fact that you could play a bit and do what we call imitations of your teachers.
Oh, yes. Well, that was my defense, because I couldn't belong amongst my colleagues in school, you know, my contemporaries. The only bridge to kind of normal living was for me to mimic schoolmasters and impersonate these school teachers and anyone in authority. And then I developed it as time went by and became quite astute at imitating movie stars and actors and politicians. And I also played the piano. I was a very lonesome, solitudinous child. I used to play the piano and improvise and look very sad and felt very sad. But all this was fodder for my future as an actor, I guess.
Yeah, if you can survive the childhood, it'll all be grist for the mill later on.
Yeah, well, most people say
that
childhood is the most painful part of one's life, I think.
Yeah, and someone said anyone who thinks he really had a happy one is deluded, as they find out of their psychoanalysis.
Yeah.
It seems to me everybody in Wales is related. There only seem to be about 5 family names. Everyone's is either an Evans or a Richards or
That's right, Jones, Davis.
Yeah. So you and I might be. I had a Welsh grandfather.
Yeah.
Now, the part of Wales you came from, what accent would your headmaster have had?
Well, he was Welsh. He was a rugby player and played. Got his rugby cap, which means that he played international rugby for Wales. That was my last school. His name was Idwyl Rees. He spoke with a strong Welsh accent. He was a tyrant of a man. And
how would he greet a class or discipline? Could you give us some?
He used to shut up and stand up straight and quiet and all that.
And did he trill his R's?
Oh, no. Actually, I've got a very close Welsh accent, although it's sort of modified.
Yeah.
I was born the same time as Richard Burton. Richard had a much more cultivated voice than mine.
Do Burton for a second.
Burton, to be or not to be, that is the question. Whether it is nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune.
I would swear
I
he
saw
was
him in it.
sitting here.
But I've got a much more rapid delivery than Richard. I suppose because I've got maybe a much more, I don't know, maybe I've got a faster rhythm or something. But,
And did you get his autograph as a kid?
I did. I was 15 years of age, and I went to his house in Caraddock Street. Caraddock, there's a Welsh name. Caraddock Street in Taibach, Port Talbot. Yeah. And knocked on the door, praying that he wouldn't answer it. And his sister came to the door, and I said, it's Richard Burton. And she said, come in. She said, Richard, it's Dick Hopkins' boy. Dick Hopkins in the baker. So I went in, and there was Richard shaving with an electric razor. He had a T-shirt on. And I'd never seen anyone with an electric razor. And his wife, Sybil, was sitting at the table reading the morning paper. He said, what do you want? I said, I have an autograph, please. He said, all right. Where are you from? I said, Commercial Road, Taibach. He said, I used to work in the co-op shop across there, in the shoe shop. He said, I was hopeless. So I immediately, there was a kindred spirit, because he was hopeless at his job, and I was hopeless.
Burton was hopeless, there might be hope.
There was hope, yes.
Burton, what we were talking about earlier, on a show I did with him, I tremulously raised the subject of booze. And I said, would you talk about it? And as you know, he did. And he looked into the camera and delivered a very moving speech, really, about if it's your enemy as well as it is mine, I know what you're going through, and so on and so on. This was actually clipped out and used by AA and others because it was so well done. Now, you fall into the same category. You've had a period that's always written about excessive boozing and wildness, and if you think O'Toole and Burton were something, you should have seen Hopkins at his best or worst, and so on, and you've beaten it.
Yeah, I was pretty mild, really, compared to those two, those Hellraisers.
You declined the title, do you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I gave up the championship. Yeah. I was just a nuisance more than anything. I wasn't really a Hellraiser. I was just in a lot of trouble. I was just a nuisance. Yeah. And one day, some years ago now, I stopped. I thought, this is crazy. And I was very tired and fed up with myself, and I stopped.
Was it just an act of will? Did you have help?
I got some help for it, and and I realized that I wasn't alone with it, and that was the end of that. I'm glad to say, and I never thought it would be possible to live without it because it was my only sustenance, it was my only way of coping. And now I've got into the habit over the years of not drinking, and my life is so much better. You know.
My guess is that the Welsh have a higher rate of depression than other races. I haven't seen the statistics on it. We know the Scandinavians do.
Yeah.
And
it's a pretty gloomy land.
Yeah.
Wales. It's very isolated on the little peninsula. And they're very melancholy people. The Irish have got much more going for them because they're much more extrovert and crazier than the Welsh. The Welsh are rather repressed. Yeah. Good people, though. I don't have problems with being Welsh or non-Welsh or anything. But my Welsh colleagues will say, "What are you saying? You're a Welsh actor. You're not English." Yeah. I say, "Oh, forget it." So I say British now, just to hedge my bet.
If only England looked like it does in Howard's End all the time.
Oh, isn't it beautiful?
I would have been happy to be in 1910 in England.
You enjoyed the film?
Very much. Isn't there a way in which it's a little easier for an actor to play an insane man than it is to play a terribly ordinary man who has dimensions to him that have to be seen? Like this man that you play is proper, he's repressed, he does not like the lower classes, he eventually collapses. It seems to me, in a way, it would be harder to play someone like that than to play a madman.
Well, because of one's vanity, you know, you always wanted to look good, you always want to be the sympathetic character. So playing Wilcox, you don't have much chance. Yeah. What I try to do is, I'm wearing that silly cap, you know, and looking like, whatever they call it. And, but it is difficult, but not as difficult as that. But it's much more fun playing the villains.
Is it?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. To see what a son of a bitch you can be.
Yeah, he has much more dimension to it.
Yeah. Did we send a big enough car for you today up in wherever you live that we won't reveal?
I could have brought the horse and the chickens and the pigs in that.
And the Knicks.
And the Knicks, right. Long-legged. Yeah, I could have,
They have this car that a gangster would find in poor taste. It's so long and luxurious. It's almost embarrassing. And what if the revolution broke out when you're sitting in a 20-foot-long limo? I guess they thought you wanted
Salvatore is a good driver, so I think you'd be fairly safe with him.
They thought you might have wanted to lie down in various places in it. I saw that. You made an interesting observation about the car. In profile, it looks like the male member. And I think the new Ford penis with all the, I can see this would be a good parody commercial idea.
Fully extended, yeah.
James, before, is there anybody who doesn't know that you are a voice that everybody knows in one sense? Do you ever just for fun in the back of an elevator talk as Darth Vader?
No, I've only done it once. I was driving across country with the CB radio, and I used Darth Vader as my handle. Freaked a lot of people out, you know. When it got to the truck stop, it was kind of there was a buzz about it, you know. So I decided not to do that anymore.
Are there people who don't have enough ear to know that you are Darth Vader? I mean, you're the voice of...
Oh, sure. I didn't know that Charlton was doing this is CNBC until I was told, because it was a very particular choice he made. And not that he's trying to disguise his voice or in more than I do, but they're just choices you make.
He kind of acts it. It's interesting.
Yeah. And no, I don't play with it. I'm lucky that it comes out enough to talk to you right now. I have no presumptions or no arrogance about my voice. You know, one would think that I might even be in love with my voice. I'm not, because it would be the most unfaithful lover I've ever had, because it fails me often.
How?
Because I'm a stutterer. Because not only a stutterer, being a stutterer for that long in my developing years,
Yeah.
I can't have an extemporaneous conversation. That is, I cannot be an MC, for instance. It's impossible for me. I can't string ideas and words together that well.
Some of the very best people are stutterers, and I haven't heard you stutter.
Oh, that's because you accept it. It's sort of
Well, maybe I'm erasing it mentally because I like you and I don't want
Marlon Brando made the American speech stutterable. You know, he made the halt and all that very
hesitation
fashionable,
acceptable.
Yeah.
Now, this gets into a delicate subject, and I haven't forgotten the story I was going to tell, I hope. Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, one of the roles you've always wanted to play that presumably isn't open to you is the fabulous part of Big Daddy, which the late Burl Ives, recently late, played. Now we get into that whole question of that nonsense that happened when Miss Saigon came here. And a bunch of misguided people didn't want a white man playing an Asian. Why didn't an Asian get to play
You know,
it?
they used to say, whatever door is the rustiest, or squeaks the most, gets the oil. It's whatever people who are in the most pain gets the protest, you know, and that, as simple as that. And sometimes the protest is totally irrelevant.
Well, what's art got to do with democracy? It's an the only aristocracy you can defend is the one of talent.
If you want to
and the best person gets the part.
Right.
Period.
But if you want to deal with pain, unemployment pain, look at the Asian community in terms of jobs on Broadway, off-Broadway, movies, TV. Look, you know, if you hear blacks complaining.
Well, yeah. I feel, yeah, because, and what do they got to look for? I mean, the Mikado doesn't even employ real Asians because it was written to be played by English. But, yeah, but the idea that, I think I said in my nasty letter to the Times, did Burton get to do Hamlet because there were no Danes out of work? You know, it just doesn't apply to art. The director can have anyone he wants. But if you played big...
The late Diana Sands once said that she probably had as much a grip on Chekhov's ladies as Kim Stanley did, you know. And true, culturally she understood them the same way that Kim did.
Yeah.
Just didn't look quite Russian.
Are you saying that if you played a white man like Big Daddy, that after a few lines people would just be overcome by the acting and forget about the fact?
I would hope so, but I wouldn't trust it. I've also wanted to play Ernest Hemingway. I think there you owe the audience the look. And I get the best makeup artist I could find, you know.
What do you think of Olivier's Othello? I just
it's
saw
wonderful.
a bit of it the other night.
It's wonderful.
And why did all the little pissant British critics leap all over him for that?
Because he was daring, but I think I think what they missed was they should have busted Frank Finlay for his Iago. You know, it was a piece of crap, really. You know?
Yeah.
But, I mean, total.
Is that a negative assessment?
Please don't believe me, you know.
Yeah.
Which was Chris Plummer's choice too. Please don't believe me because this is really scary. Iago is the scariest character in any play Shakespeare ever wrote. He is Hamlet gone the other way around. And actors are afraid of him. They don't want to play the tragedy of Iago. They rather play the farce.
They play a flip Iago.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to get off on that.
Yeah. Frank Finley's backstage now. He's coming up, right?
And then Bob Hoskins turned in a bigger piece of crap with Jonathan Miller directing.
As what?
The TV version of Othello.
Hoskins was a lousy...
Was Iago, yeah.
Holy mackerel.
I mean,
but you know, the greatest actors, Ralph Richardson had a total disaster in Macbeth, and he said, I never saw the dagger once. I'm going to tell you this quickly. Jackie Gleason's father abandoned him as a kid. He spent almost his whole life looking for him. I asked a comedy writer once, who's the worst schmuck you ever worked with? He said, Jackie Gleason, a famous comedy writer. One day, a bunch of writers were sitting around outside Gleason's office. I got to get the story in. And he kept them waiting and waiting and waiting for hours. And one of them said, finally, to hell with it, I'm leaving. And the lady said, what shall I tell Mr. Gleason? And he said, tell him his dad dropped by. All his life, he had looked for his father. Isn't that a cruelly wicked thing to say? Now, a comedy writer who can come up with that is certainly worth his money and shouldn't be lost to the staff. Another star had very bad scars from smallpox, and somebody said to him, Bob, what's par for your right cheek? It took me a moment to get it. Well, James Earl Jones, we certainly haven't covered your life entirely, but you certainly
I wouldn't want to do that yet.
No, because it isn't entirely over. Will you say hello to your son, Flynn, who I hear you've allowed to grow up into a large person now, from the way I remember him?
Yeah, he's all. Hi, Flynn.
Ask him if he remembers the funny guy who knew him when he was a kid.
Flynn remembers Dick Cavett, of course. Yeah.
You went right in there. You better tell him.
Yeah. Hi, Flynn. This is Dick. Remember Dick?
No? James, thank you. There's no way to thank you enough. Sir Ian McKellen, welcome. I didn't call you that last time I met you.
No, you needn't call it me now, but...
It's a problem for Americans because we're a little flummoxed by titles and so on. And I heard a gentleman once refer to Sir Gielgud all through an interview with the gentleman he was referring to. So we find it hard sometimes.
Well, Sir Ian, Mr. McKellen, the convention in the theatre itself is that you don't use the title, so I'm Mr. most of my life still.
No ad ever said with Sir Laurence Olivier, did it?
Not, no.
Yeah. Now we have Sir John Gielgud, Sir Ralph Richardson, Sir Peter O'Toole, I believe. No. But there was Sir Noel Coward, Sir Laurence Olivier, and I must confess, I'm a little tired of this. What's wrong with American actors?
Well, you have to be British for a start, and you have, on the whole, to have spent most of your life earning no money at all at the behest of the nation, not gallivanting off to Hollywood to make a lot of money and be very famous. That is reward in itself.
Oh, so that's why there was no Sir Spencer Tracy, though there certainly deserved to be.
But there are a few people. There's Sir General Schwarzkopf, but he's not allowed to use the title because he's American, but he's a knight.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Your German pronunciation of Schwarzkopf didn't make him sound very American, in fact. Could Bob Hope, by the way, he was born in England?
Oh, yes. Well, yes. I don't suppose he's been paying any taxes, has he, in England?
I think they made a lot of money off of him there, though. I asked him once, since you were born in England, people forget that. When you hear God Save the Queen, does some part of you still rise? And I didn't mean to word it that way. And he came right out of the chair and said, hey, I'm going to use that over there. You maintain, along with your friend Marlon Brando, that all people are good actors if they just want to be. His way of putting it is, we've acted all our lives. Your mother said, did you pee on the toilet seat? And you say no, and you know you did, and yet you're convincing. And as much as I'm willing to say balderdash to him, I did, because otherwise I could have been the same Stanley Kowalski you were.
I think that's only the reply one gives to people who are absolutely, totally amazed that anyone should spend any part of their life professionally acting. And it's just a rebuttal to that amazement. And if Brando said that, he's quite true, that we're all quite proficient liars, and even if we're not liars, we do actually make ourselves fit in with our environment. I mean, people are very conscious of the clothes they wear, aren't they? I mean, from a very, very early age, I remember being very conscious whether I was wearing the right clothes for school, and still am. These are my clothes I picked to, fit in with yours, and here we are, roughly the same, sort of outfits. And later in the day, when I go jogging or I'm sitting at home on my own, then I'll change the costume to fit in with the activity. Right. Well, isn't that connected with what actors do?
I suppose it is. It probably hasn't occurred to people that when we're caught talking to ourselves on the street, someone hears us and then we pretend we were singing and go dum dum ba bum 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 bum. That's what that's acting.
Or we hail a taxi and it doesn't stop and we pretend we're really scratching our heads.
But still. Then you have to factor into it genius, if you'll look away from me now, as in your case and Mr. Brando's and some others.
It's communication. Acting is communication and persuading the people that you're with that you're who you're pretending to be. And pretense is an awful lot about life. We know what we actually are ourselves, or we think we know, and we just project parts of ourselves and we select. We're always ourselves, but we select, and actually you do that on stage too. It's always Ian McKellen just selecting part of himself and having worked on part of himself to convince the audience that actually he's more like Richard III than he is himself. It's not. It isn't that complicated.
Sure you want to reveal the secrets of acting?
That's as far as
all
I
over
go.
The place doing it. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
don't tell them the rest. Interesting that Olivier always had a false nose, even in a so-called straight part where he was not playing Shylock or Fagin or some elaborate character makeup.
But people
said it gave him comfort.
Yes, and I think biographers are right when they say that in his private life too he spent a lot of time disguising himself. So you could never quite be sure when you met Larry what he was doing. And I mean, he usually looked like a businessman. That was probably because he was going into the office to, not to do the accounts, but to be the administrator of the theatre. And he very, very rarely looked like an actor.
First time I saw him, he was walking on 6th Avenue, and I wanted to say to the people around, that's Laurence Olivier. This is maybe your only chance in your life to see him. But he did, as you say, he looked like somebody maybe on his way to Wall Street. Nothing like Hamlet, nothing like Richard III, and nothing like any of the other things I'd seen him in. I can't wait to see you as Richard III. And the onlyest thing that bothers me is, how can I overcome my problem of being put off when a play is moved into another time period, and then the verse seems to be at odds with the costumery and setting?
Well, I think you should get over that problem, certainly if you're coming to see me act, because whenever I've done Shakespeare, I've always done it in modern or modern-ish dress, which is what Shakespeare himself used to do. I mean, when Shakespeare did Julius Caesar, originally, they did it in doublet and hose. David Garrick played King Lear in the 18th century in a full-bosom wig and a frock coat.
They didn't bother with togas. And
no, the idea that anything should be historically accurate was an obsession of the Victorians who got very absorbed in medievalism and all that sort of thing. So we've just reverted to what was always the case, of treating the plays as if they were about our life today as much as they were about the life of the historical period in which they're set. And as for the blank verse somehow belonging to doublet and hose, I don't believe that. The point about blank verse is not that it's old, but that it's very, very speakable and easy to understand and very follows the rhythms of everyday life, even today. So if you see a production, you think, this is wonderful verse speaking, something's gone wrong, I think.
Yeah. However, you do see what I mean, that if a cab driver says, my love swears that she is made of truth, I do believe her, though I know she lies.
I'd give him a huge tip.
I mean on the stage in a modern dress production.
Right.
Okay, I'm not going to win this argument. I don't even see it as an argument. Do you know Robert Benchley's brilliant line that closed one question forever? That the plays of Shakespeare were not written by Shakespeare, but by someone else of the same name.
Yes.
Well, now we're into a subject that I had kind of hoped to save for later, but see. Incidentally, this might startle you. The other night, an event at the Waldorf, a lady came up to me and said, may I just say one thing to you? And that usually precedes, thank you for Katharine Hepburn so many years ago. She said, thank you for your courage in coming out of the closet. And someone next to her looked a little startled and seemed not to have heard of my having come out of the closet. And the closet that I had come out of, I hate to spoil this, was having had depression, and I had talked about it at a convention at Johns Hopkins, and then it got into, I don't know, I went on Good Morning America, People magazine, and so on and so. And whenever a celebrity does confess to this ghastly disease, it saves lives, so it's kind of gratifying to do it. So I guess I think of myself as an honorary gay, because I have done a lot of AIDS benefits and so on.
Well, I think the nicest men are, I divide straight men into those who can cope with it and those who can't, and most of my
can
straight
cope
friends,
with it.
well,
yeah,
don't mind,
Now, tell me precisely how you chose the moment to make this public, since you'd obviously thought about it for years.
I don't know that I had, and that's the rather surprising thing, that it took me until I was 49 to actually complete the process of coming out, which begins, I suppose, from the day you realise that you're gay and start dealing with it. That happened for me when I was about, well, at the age that most people's sexuality is being stirred, pre-teens. And I didn't really see why I needed to tell the media and anybody else who asked. Because all my friends do.
I still don't see the need to, but I can see choosing to.
Well, the need to is that if you don't say, then you're not being honest.
But your life is acting.
Indeed, and that's why I think so many gay men who are in the closet are such good actors professionally. No, if they lie about themselves and don't just aren't capable of talking about themselves and introducing the world to the person that they love, that's not very good either for that relationship or for the individual person. And once having done it yourself, you then, of course, realise the true importance of it for the world at large, which is that just as you coming out as someone who's had depression, I coming out as someone who's gay, gives comfort to people who can't come out, because if they did, they would lose their jobs and they would lose the respect of their colleagues and their families and sometimes be thrown out on their ear from their house.
What I do despise are the people who take it upon themselves to pull others out of the closet. Not really
Well, that isn't the point. No, that's
Yeah.
a very unhealthy situation. No, it should be something you do yourself.
Yeah. This is Helen Mirren, nominated for an Oscar for Best Supporting Actress for the way she went and portrayed Queen Charlotte in The Madness of King George, which had another title and play. We'll get to that. Easy to see why the king was mad about her. Is that embarrassing? Have I gone too far?
No, no.
And of course, there isn't one soul who would recognize you in this moment, as our German friends say, because of how decked out you were as the queen.
Well, but really, one of the reasons I wanted to do the part very much was actually just to do with wearing lots of diamonds and very big hair.
You like to get all dressed up?
I love getting dressed up. I love the jewels and the diamonds and the enormous dresses and big hair.
And it was, of course, a radical contrast from the rather severe costuming in Prime
This
Suspect.
is true. This also as well. But I had just done a play called A Month in the Country in London that I'm doing now in New York as well. And that had been, again, I was doing that because of these gorgeous dresses that I could sort of swoosh around the stage like this. Nice dresses. And,
it's a side of you one might not suspect from
a big side
Prime
of me.
Suspect.
I mean, if Barbie dolls had been around when I was a little girl, I would have been a major Barbie doll collector.
Really?
I am actually. I'm too grown up for Barbie dolls now, but I have a secret hankering for Barbie dolls. And when my various little girls that I know in my life have them, I snatch them off them, saying, I think, well, it'd be nicer to put the dress on like this, don't you think? Look, you can comb my hair like this, if you like. So, the costumes are always very important to me. I love costumes.
I was shocked at something that I just saw.
That's why I dressed you this morning, you see. I didn't dress him, I tidied him up.
Yeah,
he had his tie on back to front. His shirt was undone.
People say to me, I can tell you're one of
And
those...
you have an elastic band around your wrist, and I want to know why.
Is there nothing you won't bring out on television?
That's how I do exactly that. I bet it was off the newspaper or something this morning.
This is to remind me to buy rubber bands. There's nothing more glamorous than that about it. Also, ex-smokers, I notice, wear these because if they get the urge, they go, oh, geez.
Oh,
And
no.
then they associate the craving to smoke with pain.
You're just making that up.
I know, but you almost believed me.
I did.
No, they do. I've seen them go. It's Pavlovian.
Yes.
That's not who I mean.
Yes.
Whose
No,
dogs?
Pavlov's dogs.
Whose dogs
yes.
salivated?
Pavlov's.
If you snap yourself and hurt yourself when you think of something you
That you
want
want
to
to
do,
do.
like expose yourself in the park or so, whatever
Yes.
they do in England. Or smoke. By the way, you smoked so convincingly on Prime Suspect. I feared for your... Do you enjoy them in good health?
I don't smoke, no, not in real life. But
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that.
amazing drug. If you don't smoke, you realise what an incredibly strong drug it is. Because when you have to smoke, a couple of puffs, just literally 2 puffs down into the lungs. Oh, you feel dizzy, you feel sick, you don't want to eat anymore, you feel hyper, and you immediately want a cigarette. I mean, immediately.
And were you treated to the spectacle of the 8 grown liars in suits testifying before the committee in Washington, each putting themselves on the record that nicotine is not addicting?
No, I missed that.
Yeah, the tobacco. Somehow they all agreed. They're the only 8 who don't know that it's addicting, and they happen to be executives of tobacco companies.
But isn't it amazing the way people can lie under oath?
Coincidence.
I mean, isn't it amazing?
It is to me.
How non-actors. It's very hard for actors to act, and when you see, I always think it's incredible on television. You're flicking through, you can tell immediately if you're watching, even if 10 seconds, 5 seconds, you can tell if it's a real person standing there talking about, their flat just having been burgled or something, or if it's an actor acting immediately.
What is that difference?
That's the great mystery.
You're switching channels, and for a millisecond you think, is this real or is this a court drama, let's
but
say?
not more than a millisecond, because
Now, what is that difference? It would be very instructive to know in acting.
Well, of course, as actors, that's what I watch all the time at these reality shows like Cops and indeed Court TV, because the real, and you watch it as an actor, because how do they do it? They're so good at it. How do they do it?
I noticed
the ones who are
something-
lying, and of course the ones who are absolutely not lying. But the ones who are lying, in a way, are more mesmerising than the ones who are telling the truth.
Could you tell when the Menendez brothers were lying?
No, not to the eye. Couldn't tell Anita Hill, Clarence Thingamajig, Higgins, what's his name? Thomas.
Clarence Thomas, yeah.
Clarence Thomas. Who, could you tell who was lying? I mean, and maybe no one's lying.
No, but I could
maybe
tell that those were his teeth and that he was lying through them. A variation on something else. But we were talking about it earlier. But
Yeah.
I wonder, I've talked about this before. I've never seen an actor make the specific choice, as they say, or actress, when they're terribly moved, as when a coach is retiring on real television.
Mm-hmm.
Or someone is reciting finding his child dead, and their features don't change at all. They
No.
just stop.
No acting. That's right. They
Talk.
go. That's right.
Looking for a moment.
Mm.
And
the voice comes out very flat,
Mhm.
amazingly flat, and of course
no tears.
no tears. Well, or if they cry, it's not. You don't hear the breakdown in their voice. Actually, I think that's one of the great misleading things, to go back to court television and all the rest of it, is that things that have really happened to people, and I know it happens with rape victims, for example, the more traumatised they are by it, the less they can emote in court. So they can't break down in court.
They've been through all the emotion.
They've been through it all.
Yeah.
They cannot break down in court. They become very frozen. And because they're so frozen and so traumatised, to the jury it looks as if it hasn't affected them at all. Whereas the people who have not been traumatised and who are actually acting, they're the ones who do all the big breakdowns and and all that stuff in court.
And then later you frustratingly see one of the jurors, after the person's been acquitted, saying, well, she didn't cry, and any mother would have cried.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. You're very
Anyway.
sexy, and everybody
God.
mentions that.
No,
in
not everybody
things
doesn't
that are
mention
read
that.
about you. And I've never said this to a guest before, but could I see you naked tonight?
Oh, I'm sure, easily. There's many movies you could rent and see me naked.
That's what I meant. I hope you didn't think otherwise. What are they exactly?
What are all... Practically every film
Caligula?
I've ever been in, I've been naked
The beast, the toad, the gorp, and the...
I
what
was
the name of that?
naked in The Cook, the Thief, His Wife and Her Lover.
Cook,
like,
the Thief, the Wife, and
permanently
Love.
throughout the whole film. Age of Consent, the first film I ever did, I was naked in.
Yeah.
I was naked in Hussey. I was naked in Savage Messiah.
What was the name of it?
I was Savage Messiah.
Oh, yes,
I
of
wasn't
course.
naked in Excalibur. I got to keep my clothes on. But most films I've done.
You know what I'm going to do then? I'm going to take my week's salary at CNBC and rent those 4 movies tonight.
Watch the progression of the of the body.
I
want to be like Gerard Depardieu,
Depardieu?
Depardieu. Gerard.
Gerald Depardieu?
Depardieu.
You worked with him in... don't
I've
tell
never
me.
worked with him.
Well, tell me then.
I've never worked with him, so
Okay.
don't
Yeah,
make
that's what I meant
don't
to
put
say.
your foot in it here. No, I've never worked with him, but I'm a great fan of him.
What is it about him? Because in something I read about you, you referred to his trousers as being
His trousers.
subject to the law of gravity. At the merest...
Yes, he drops his pants, yes, very quickly and easily. I mean, he's not...
If you drop a-
taking his clothes off has nothing to do with sex or liberation or anything. Or maybe... But he just, he doesn't mind being sort of...
If you take your hat
Get
and
naked.
release it like this, he'll drop his pants at the drop of a
Well, I just
chapeau.
get the impression from seeing him in movies, that he's...
He does this
It's not
at
to do with
rehearsal?
vanity or beauty or anything. I think this whole thing of having a body double, because your body's not beautiful enough and you have this sort of, there's your head going, and then this gorgeous body, that's ridiculous. We've got to
Taylor Hackford.
get real.
Does that ring a bell?
Taylor Hackford. Oh, God, yeah, right.
Or do I,
Guy in the
it's-
hotel room
No,
this
it's Hackford
morning.
Taylor. That's a more believable sounding name. Is it true he changed it for...
No,
'cause
it's certainly not true. but
Hackford Taylor sounds much more...
No.
He's
the reason
Hackford
he's
Taylor
called
of
Taylor is a
Gentleman,
very sweet story, but I won't go into it
Officer
right
and
now.
a Gentleman.
Yes, and he had a film opening last night, Dolores Claiborne.
What type of story is it you won't go into in my presence?
Oh, no, the story of how he got to be called Taylor, why his mother called him Taylor.
Oh.
It was a very sweet story.
Uh-huh.
But I'll let him tell you it
Oh,
when you have him on.
Why hasn't Alan Bennett's book been printed in this country?
His autobiography?
It's the best thing I've read in 10 years.
I'm
It's the
sure it
book of
will
the
be.
year in England. Alan Bennett's Writing Home.
Yes.
His diaries, the chapter on The King and I, which is about King George III, of course. Can you confirm or deny the rumor that the studios would not call the movie what the play was called, The Madness of King George, Roman numeral III, because Dumbos in America would think it was a sequel to
Yes,
part
I think
one
that
and
is
part
true.
two. Is
Yes,
that true?
it is true. I think
Priceless.
maybe it is pretty priceless, isn't it? I'm sure they had a point, but actually, I think The Madness of King George is actually a better title. There's something more, I don't know, neater about it.
It's got a nice meter.
The
It's
Madness
got
of King George is a great title. It's
But-
better
but
than George
someone
the
pointed
Third.
out
Who
peop-
cares, George the Third? You know. But,
Yeah, that's true. Except for the famous quote in George's. Oh, wait a minute. No, I was thinking of the Cromwell quote. I better get off of this because my nightmare is that I'll have to take a public knowledge test.